10 superweapons currently being built. 10 invisible tanks. Traditionally speaking, tanks are not known for their subtlety. After all, it's hard to sneak around when you're the size of a small apartment. But as ridiculous as it sounds, stealth tanks have become the obsession of militaries around the world. America and Russia already have tanks that can't be picked up by radar or infrared sensors, but the UK and Australian armies are looking to go one better. In 2016, the Aussie military started working with the University of South Australia's Future Industries Institute to fit tanks with polycarbonate cells, the same cells used in solar panels. These cells can change colour to match a background, allowing tanks to adapt their appearance to camouflage with their environment. Basically, they're like chameleons with a 5-metre gun on their backs. BAE Systems has also been working since 2011 on a similar project for the UK military. They hope to use e-camouflage to reflect a tank's surroundings onto its surface. It's the same idea that turned James Bond's car invisible in Die Another Day, except real and on a 60-ton armoured death machine. 9. Nanobots. If there's one thing the US military has become increasingly reliant on over the past 5 years, it's drones. After all, dumping troops into enemy territory means putting their lives at risk. Why take the chance when you can send a robot to drop a couple of bombs while you sit behind a keyboard sipping Pepsi? Yes, the future of drones may be big, but the drones themselves are going to get smaller, much smaller. Countries like China, Mexico, and the US are already pouring billions into nanobots, incredibly tiny robots that measure at about 0.001 centimeters each and can be given complex commands. These robots could be remotely controlled, and military experts fear that a swarm of them could be used to drop strains of potent diseases into a city's water supply. If a more precise approach is needed, nanobots could conceivably be used to poison an important political or military leader. We're not talking about the distant future either. Kim Jong-un has already accused the US and South Korea of trying to assassinate him via nanobot. Maybe that's just crazy old North Korea being crazy old North Korea, but researchers at the Global Catastrophic Risk Conference in 2008 estimated that nanotechnology had a 1 in 20 chance of destroying humanity by 2100. 8. Self-flying jets. Nanoscientists may be trying to make human-controlled drones smaller, but the Pentagon is trying to replace the human aspect entirely. America's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, is looking into a computer program capable of flying a jet on its own. And like all DARPA projects, the system has a ridiculously long and complex name that shortens into a cool acronym. The Aircrew Labour in Cockpit Automation System, aka ALIAS, has been independently operating helicopters in test flights for years now. In 2016, the project entered its third phase after faring well in simulated flights. The military benefits of having fully automated aircraft are huge. No pilots need be put in danger, and Alias's quick reaction time might make it even better at reacting to threats than a human. And it's not just new planes that would benefit. If the program proves to be a success, there are plans to use robotic arms to allow Alias to manually fly older aircraft that don't have powerful onboard computers. Of course, once Alias has control over America's Air Force, it'll probably just wipe out the army and become our new robotic overlord. But at least we might get some cool air shows before that happens. 7. Mayhem. As we already said, the US military has a solid track record when making up ridiculous names for its weapons and planes. Just look at the mother of all bombs, or Operation Liberty Shield. But none even come close to DARPA's prototype anti-tank rocket, literally nicknamed Mayhem. The Magneto-Hydrodynamic Explosive Munition, or Mayhem, is a bomb designed to be superheated into molten metal as it's fired. In its liquid state, the missile takes a long, thin spear shape and can enter any crack or hole in a tank's armour. Being stuck inside a tank as it's penetrated by the T-1000's penis is already a pretty uncomfortable place to be, but then imagine the missile blows up. Blowing up a tank from the inside is far more effective than shooting at it, which is why the US has been working on this project since 2008, and China has been copying the idea since 2013. Presumably, the only reason they haven't finished it yet is because they're trying to think up a suitably awesome name for it. 6. Satan II. If a rocket launcher called Mayhem isn't badass enough for you, how about a nuke called Satan II? Despite sounding like the new baddie in a totally unnecessary Bible sequel, Satan II is something much scarier. A giant Russian missile capable of flying at 7 kilometers a second. But America and Russia have been using nukes to push for World War III since the 50s. What makes this missile stand out? Well, for one, it can carry a 10-ton nuclear warhead. That makes Satan II the most powerful nuclear weapon ever built. Just the explosion caused by Satan II would completely engulf a blast radius the size of Texas. That's 2,000 times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Add in the increased range of nuclear fallout, and this one nuke could destroy a huge chunk of America on its own. As of yet, the system is unfinished, but the missile is expected to be ready to use by 2018. 5. Force field. You know you're living in a golden age of crazy sci-fi sounding technology when a major international corporation has plans to start building real-life force fields. In 2015, Boeing raised eyebrows after it filed a patent for an energy-deflecting arc generator. According to the design, the device would be mounted on a truck and paired with a blast detector. Once it detected an explosion, the arc generator would pound the area surrounding the truck with lasers, microwaves, and electricity. Basically, do everything it can to heat up the air surrounding the vehicle. The superheated layer of air around the vehicle forms a sort of shield, absorbing or deflecting any energy directed at it. Though unable to block a direct hit from a rocket, the heat shield would be powerful enough to protect a truck from the shockwave of a nearby explosion. At the moment, the amount of energy required for such a shield makes its use prohibitively expensive. But as the technology improves, force fields could very well find their way to the battlefield in the near future, at which point we're basically living in a Halo game. 4. Human torpedoes. Despite sounding like a second-rate superhero, the human torpedo could be the future of marine warfare. Traditionally, submarines haven't been known for their speed. After all, water is 700 times denser than air. Even the most powerful submarines have never broken around 65 kilometers an hour. But that hasn't stopped the Pentagon working on a small, torpedo-sized one-man submarine, one they hope will reach up to 185 kilometers per hour. How are such ridiculous speeds going to be achieved? Counterintuitively, it's made possible by firing a small portion of the sub's rocket engines forward out of the nose cone. This process, known as supercavitation, creates a bubble around the submarine and allows it to travel at speeds only possible through air. The human torpedoes are ideal for dropping Navy SEALs behind enemy lines or quick recon missions, or at least they would be if they could steer them. The US has been working on this technology since 2009, but has yet been able to find a way to keep control of the subs at such high speeds. 3. Virtual reality torture. VR is great. It allows people to enjoy games and TV shows in a way that was previously impossible. It can even be used for more immersive porn, which, let's be honest, is why you bought it in the first place. Virtual reality even has positive military functions, with mental health experts believing that VR could be used to help treat PTSD. However, there is also a much darker potential military use: torture. Pain exists in the mind, and studies have shown that if someone is in a realistic enough simulation for long enough, they can start to feel sensations in their virtual body. Under these conditions, virtual torture would be just as agonizing as if it were being done in real life, but it doesn't leave the physical marks that would prove that someone had been tortured. VR technology could also make it easier for torturers to create programs designed specifically to terrify their victims. Scared of spiders? At the push of a button, you could be plunged into a world of nothing but eight-legged bastards. This may all sound a long way off, but the Journal of Frontiers in Robotics and AI has already warned that if we want to avoid virtual torture, we need to create an ethical code around the use of VR immediately. 2. Freeze ray. So far, we've covered tiny robot assassins, tanks with invisibility cloaks, and shape-shifting liquid missiles. But if you still need proof that the world's generals are getting their weapon designs from Acme, scientists are currently working on a real-life freeze ray. In 2015, researchers at the University of Washington used a laser to cool the temperature of water by 20 degrees Celsius. The infrared ray worked by changing the color of the water, which forced the particles to lose energy and grow cooler because science. The laser team have claimed that if they manage to fully freeze water, the uses will be to make vodka purer and to cool computer processors. But if you think the army is going to let freeze ray technology be wasted on drunks and nerds, think again. The ability to freeze an object has potential military applications as far-ranging as breaking locks, damaging enemy technology, and yes, maybe one day even freezing entire armies. Just don't tell Arnold Schwarzenegger. The world can't handle any more terrible ice puns.
Let's kick some ice.
1. X-37B. In April 2017, the US Air Force's unmanned space drone made headlines when it broke the record for longest time spent in Earth's orbit. But even after 700 consecutive days hovering above the planet, we still don't know what it's doing up there. USAF have been extremely tight-lipped about the spaceship's capabilities and even more so about its mission. Assuming they haven't spent millions of dollars launching a jet into space just for fun, theorists have been working overtime to decipher the X-37B's purpose. Some claim that the drone is being used to spy on North Korea and China. Others suggest that it's designed to be used as a space weapon, targeting and shooting down enemy satellites to interrupt their communications. Some even think the drone will be used to drop huge bombs on enemy countries without being detected. Whether the X-37B is an orbital camera or the world's first starfighter, one thing seems clear. Humanity's favourite hobby of murdering the shit out of each other won't remain earthbound forever. So that was 10 superweapons currently being built. Which futuristic killing machine was your favourite? Let us know in the comments below, and if you haven't had your fill of terrifying technologies, check out 10 weapons that could wipe out life on Earth, playing on screen right now.